Kak.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi
So we are from Group 9 and we will continue the presentation in material chapter 12 that was presented by Group 8 before. Before that, let us introduce ourselves. My name is Syakina Firdaus with register number 041.
And my name is Zulaika Saskayla with the last number 183.
My name is India. My last 3 digits are number 015.
My name is Diana with the last 3 digits number 008.
My name is Ethan with last 3 digits number 021.
My name is Paulina Uriel with the last number is 0. My name is Kala Hambala with the last 3 digits number 45.
So I will continue the material by the grammatical gender. Grammatical concept of gender in language, particularly focusing on Latin and English nouns. In Latin, nouns are categorized into genders, which is masculine, feminine, and neuter, which dictate the form of accompanying word, like adjective and determiners. The distinction is not always based on natural gender, but often follows semantic patterns. For example, noun denoting woman to be feminine. And in English, gender is less grammatically significant, mainly distinguished between animate and inanimate nouns. With animate nouns further divided into male and female. However, unlike Latin, English gender is more closely tied to natural gender, with he used for males and she for females. Next. For the example, English with non-grammatical gender is the girl wearing a hood. So the girl here refers to a female person, and we use pronoun like she to refer her. And the boy is playing outside. The boy is referred to he, and the car, sun, and tree is referred to neither. So there's no gender distinction are made in the sentence. So in Latin, like puella, which means a girl. The girl is beautiful. So which means girl in Latin is feminine, and surface is strong slave, which the man slave, and it's mean the masculinity, and then temple is neither, it's gender neither, and the mother and filial, mother and daughter, each feminine, and the poor, the boy, the little boy, each masculine. Next.
And next is mood. So mood refers to the way a verb is used to indicate the speaker's attitude towards the action or state expressed by the verb. So the first one is statements, expression, and comments. Speakers can make statements about situation, like this is happening, that happened. They also can ask questions about situation and about participants in situation, like is this happening, did that happen, and they can require or request that a particular situation be created or not created, like do this and don't do that. And the second one is they can present situation as factual, like this happened, this did happen. They can present situation as possible, this might happen, and they can present situation as necessary, this has to happen, that must happen. And next is they can state their authority for making a statement, like relate to what is called the subjective mood. It is unfortunate that mood is applied to this concept, although it is a very old usage and difficult to change. It also has some justification because it is connected with the mode in which speakers choose to present the situation. So subjunctive forms were used in order to present a situation as remote from reality, speakers being in difficulties, or as possibly remote from reality, this being true. The technical term is non-factual. Why do stereotypes subjective? The example which is given involves subjective clause in subordinate clauses. If I were in such difficulties and if this be true, subordinate clauses were said to be subjoined to the main clause in a sentence or to be subjects. Next. This is also another example. So the relevant contrast is between S is in example A and is in B. In the latter, speaker states that someone has a wish he wants and states the content of the wish by means of the complement clause that his daughter is first in everything.
Okay, good morning everyone. So now here I want to explain about epistemic and dialectic modality. For the first one is epistemic. What is epistemic actually? Here epistemic derives from the Greek episteme or means knowledge, and epistemic modality relates to the way or the mode in which speaker know a situation. Do they know that it exists? Do they consider it as merely possible? Or do they treat it as necessary existing? So here, what is epistemic actually? Epistemic is a utterance or sentence based on the knowledge or understanding of the speakers, based on the information that the speaker got before. So we can look at the sentence before we going to the example. Epistemic possibility is expressed by could, may, or might. I put one example here. She could be in the library, or she might be in the library, or she may be in the library. So from this sentence, the speaker indicates that she possible in the library. The possibility that she in the library, that we can take the conclusions. The speaker conclude from the information that he got before. Maybe the speaker last time see that the she brings book and go to the library areas. So what the difference between could, might, and may? May is natural here, but might and could, it shows that the strong possibility. For the next material. Okay, so we are going to the deontic. Deontic derives from the Greek verb deo or tai. Deontic modality relates to the whether speakers present a situation as possible because permissions has been given or as necessary. So deontic necessity is expressed by must, have to, and have got to. We can look at the first example. We use must here, express an obligations placed on individuals by themselves. For the first example, I must read that new novel because I enjoy all her other novels. So here in this sentence, I read novel because the individual factor. I want to read novel because I like the novel, I enjoy the novel. It's different if we look at the second sentence, have or have got to. Have or have got to is used to obligation placed on individuals by others or by circumstances. So for the example, I have to read that novel because there is an obligatory questions on it in the exam. Or the other example is you have got to this assignment because today is the deadline. So I read the novel or I do the activity because the external factors or the factors influenced by others. Here the factor is because I read novel because I have to answer or there is obligatory questions on it in the exam. Or the other example is I do the assignment because the one. It is called the external factor why I do or why she or they do the activity. Next.
Okay, so now I'm going to talk about tense in English. As we know, there are 16 tenses in English, but if we categorize them, it would be separated into three parts, which are past tense, present tense, and future tense. Both past tense and present tense are only by adding the suffixes ed or s to the verb stem, while the future tense needed auxiliary verbs like shall and will. Next slide, please. Present tense is just a single word, while future tense is a whole syntactic structure from the auxiliary verbs. So, future tense does not only indicate that the event is in the future, but also signals the intention of the speaker. It is showing intentions. Like in the example, I'll return the book tomorrow and I'll meet you at the airport. The will here is the intention of the speaker. So the focus of the speaker is the intention. And another example with third person animate subjects is say will be in London tomorrow and he'll bang in the essay on Friday. Both will in Sale and Hill talking about intention and prediction at the same time. Next slide. In another example in animate subjects, the snow will arrive tomorrow. There is no way to find intention, so it is simply a prediction. There is no intention in the will sentence because future time cannot be inspected. We talk of future events in terms of intentions and obligations. Future events can be presented by means of present tense verb. What does this mean is you can talk about future events while using the present tense. But the events that refer must be a part of a schedule or plan that was unlikely fails to happen. Something that you know for real will happen and you have been scheduling it, like we'll play Valencia next Sunday or Island Paris for next week. Both the football match and departure are an already arranged event and regarded as inevitable. Unlike the sentence, the volcano erupts on Tuesday, because no one is able to control the volcano, therefore the sentence is not possible.
Next one, I'm going to explain about aspect. So aspect is how speakers in a language describe an action, whether it is ongoing, completed, repeating, or habitual. Meanwhile, tense refers to when the action takes place, whether in the past, present, or future, and how it compares to other time. So aspect explains how we see action, whereas tense describes when they happen. Next slide, please. So we're talking about the static and dynamic verbs and classes. Static verb describes states or conditions rather than action, while dynamic verbs describe action or process. They represent activities or events that can be seen as happening or unfold. So, how to identify static and dynamic verb? Static verbs are not difficult to recognize. You can figure out if the clause can answer the question, what happened? If yes, it's dynamic, if not, it's static. Like in your example, they went home. When is dynamic because it's an action of going somewhere. An example in B and C, they knew his parents and they were very cold. It's dynamic. New and we are both related to states, and they are not dynamic because static, but static because they describe about knowing someone and not something. So static verbs don't usually work well with adverbs like quickly. For example, in here, they quickly knew his parents.
this is not acceptable because knowing is an action that can happen quickly. But they were quickly called, it could make sense if it means they become called suddenly. And static form typically not occur in the progressive. For example, we are knowing this theory is considered unacceptable because knowing is a static form and static form don't usually express ongoing action. In they are believing everything we say and you will soon be owning all the land around here. This too is rare because static forms appear in the progressive tense but they are still uncommon. And the WH clef construction in fourth sentence like what she did was, followed by a clause. Static verbs typically do not fit well in this construction because they describe steps rather than action. Next, please. In dynamic, divided into three classes. They are activities, achievement, and accomplishment. Activities is ongoing action that don't have a specific endpoint. So you imagine like you're talking with your friend for hours and there's no clear moment when the talking just stops on its own. It could go on and on until you decide to stop or get interrupted. And achievement is described action that have a clear beginning and end. An accomplishment is involved action that have both a process and specific endpoint. So, in the example of activities, Harriet talked to Emma for hours. This sentence describes ongoing action without a specific endpoint. Harriet and Emma are talking for hours, but there's no a clear moment mentioned when the talking did stop. It could continue until they decide to stop or they got interrupted. Same with this example, the dog chased the cat for days. It's activity because ongoing action without a specific endpoint. There is no natural point where the chasing automatically stops. It's just ongoing until something happens to it. And in the example of achievement, Harriet told Emma the whole story and the dog caught the cat. This too is achievement, an action with a clear endpoint. Once Harriet finished telling the whole story, the action is complete. And the dog caught the cat is also achievement because once the dog successfully catches the cat, the action is complete. And the last one is example of accomplishment. The beaver built a dam and Annie played the tune on the piano. These two describe action with both a process and specific endpoint. The beaver goes through a process of gathering materials and constructing until the dam is finished. And once the dam is complete, the action is ends. And same with this, Annie played the tune on the piano. She played different notes on the piano until she reached the final note, and once the final note is played, the action of playing the tune is complete. Next.
Okay, I would like to continue the part of aspect here about grammatical aspects in English, progressive and simple aspect. Grammatical aspect in English is divided into progressive aspect and simple aspect. So what is progressive aspect? The progressive is a syntactic construction consisting of be plus the participle in. The progressive aspect used to describe a single event in progress. Example, John was playing the piano, Taz was knocking at the door, and Frank Churchill was crossing the street. So the simple aspect form consists of just the verb stem plus the suffixes whose central forms are as or ed. The simple form used to describe an event that has been complete. Example, Jane played the piano, Taz knocked at the door, and Frank Churchill crossed the street. Next.
Okay, so next is the English perfect. But before I explain about that, I want to ask everyone. So there's the structure that we have follow when we use English grammar, or it'll be wrong, right? Okay, so I want to ask, do you know what a burger is?
Yes.
Yeah. Of course, everyone knows, right? A roundish sandwich that has many ingredients in the middle. It has nothing to do with this. Dulu, sebentar. Wait, hold on. Okay, so imagine a burger. You have the bread, the lettuce, the patty, and everything in between, right? Then the bun underneath. So you have to follow these steps to make a traditional burger, right? You can put the bun in the middle. So that's like syntax in English. We have to follow a certain rule. So if you've been following our presentation, this syntax, the structure that we have to follow. Okay, I just want to remind you all that. So aside from all the tenses and everything that we mentioned, there's also English perfect, a tricky one. Example of that is the sentence, the snow has blocked the road. Now if we look at the sentence, why I say that the English perfect is tricky is because analysts have found it difficult to classify whether this is a tense or an aspect, because it has two constituents, has or have, and the past participle, which in this sentence is blocked. However, with the has in the sentence, signaling present time, this makes the English perfect looks, yeah, like a tense and an aspect. Okay, next. Okay, so let's break it down so everyone can understand it. English perfect has been defined as focusing on the presently accessible consequences of a past event rather than on the past event itself. Okay, so here are the four major uses of English perfect. First off is I have written my thesis, which is resultative, showing results. So this sentence is used to signal that the speaker has finished their thesis, now to show it, which is why it's called resultative. There's a result that we want to show. And second, my father has just arrived from work, which is hot news or recent past. So this sentence is to announce that their father is with them now, which is why it's a recent past, because the father has just arrived. It uses has and just because it just happened. And third, I've been at work for 6 hours, which is an extended noun or a persistent situation with the addition of been. In this sentence, it is basically saying I started work 6 hours ago, and as you can see, I'm still here. So mission unaccomplished. It's called persistent situation or extended now because right now they're still at work, which is very sad. And finally, have you ever visited Surabaya Zoo? Yes, I have been there, which is experiential or indefinite anterior. Okay, for this one, while the consequences of this one sentence is not as visible as the other examples I've given, the question is about a possible visit at an unspecified time in the past, right? That's why it's known as indefinite anterior. The answer is yes, I have. It does not reveal the time when the speaker visited that place, but we do know now that the speaker has been there before. The consequences might be that the speaker can provide information about this place or happy memories that they experience in that place. It's similar to a gossiping mom, kind of like, have you heard about the news about the couple down the street? Yes, I have. And they proceed to tell the story about the couple. It's kind of like that. We can get something out of that question. We may not know when or how they got that info, but we do know now that they know. And if they answer like, I have not, or yeah, to which the one who asked will just tell the story of what they know or experience, which is why it's called experiential. It's asking or showing experience. Next. Okay. I hope everyone understands. And finally, we should note that past participles were originally resultant. They express the results of a completed action. The participles survive in a number of resultant constructions, not just in resultant perfect. result that in the sentence that the solve from is perfect. Next.
Okay, last but not least is voice. Voice is refers to the grammatical features that indicate the relationship between the subject and the action or the state that's right by the verb. So here, the first category is the passive. So the passive is a type of sentence where the subject is received the action, or we can say here that the subject can be called as patient. So based on the presence of the agent, we can categorize the passive into the short passive and long passive. So short passive is simply when the agent is unknown. For example, Emma and Harry were attacked yesterday. So here the agent is unknown, right? And next one is long passive. Long passive is the agent when the agent is known. For example, here Emma and Harriet were attacked by those ruffians. So the agent here is those ruffians. Next. And next, the passive has two constructions. The first one is being passive, and the second one is get passive. So being passive is usually they describe the state or location, and meanwhile the get is basically describe movement or action. So if you can look at the example here, I use basically the same example, the same sentence, but different use. So the first one, the first example is the face was broken. So we use the be passive here. That is was. So if we use be passive, it is describe the state in which the face is the speaker might point to bits of the face lying on the table. Meanwhile, if we use get passive, as in example, the face got broken. So it will describe an event in which someone broke the face. Next. So between the passive and the action, there is the middle. So the middle is when the subject nouns act as a middle construction or neutral between agent and patient. So the subject here is both performing and receiving action. So, and they control the situation and denote a single episode or event. So we can say here that middle is a midway between passive and active. So it is grammatically active, but actually it was semantically passive. So for example here, the sweater washes well and this car sold very quickly last week. So in these two examples, the subject is shown to be grammatically active, but actually the meaning is that the activity has been done are semantically passive. And it also denotes a single event, which is only washes and only the car sold. So it is the subject has two roles also, which is the subject is role as a performer and also the receiver itself. So it was the last material of our presentation. If you have any question, please raise your hand and mention your name and your student number. Thank you for your attention.
Bisa. Ate Aya sih.
Thank you.
Nanya. Oke. Pak. Ya. Tutup. Ditutup.
Okay, thank you for our group. So thank you guys.